Okay, we are live. We are back with our second live for today. So as everyone come in, go ahead and send out your daily heart rate. If you didn't do it earlier in the first live, go ahead and get those likes up. We only have about 18 thus far. So please go ahead and get those likes up before we start with the candidate for tonight. Let's see if we can get about 5K in with the likes before we start. That way we can hurry up and get on that algorithm as quickly as possible. Let me go ahead and do my due diligence, which is to go ahead and repost and share it out to my story. So 1 second. All right. And if you would love to participate in our roses, be sure to do that. That helps with the engagement to get into the algorithm as well. Hello, Matthew. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay,
Good
just give me.
evening, everyone. Yes, we do have the candidate here, so let's go ahead and request him up. Happy Tuesday to everybody.
Everybody,
Hello, Alan.
Absolutely.
let's see, make sure I got this right.
Hello, Miss Trish. Hello. Welcome everybody coming in. Go ahead and do all the good things to get this engagement and this conversation going. We still have under 700 likes, so let's see if we can get at least 5K within the next 5 minutes. Thank you for the roses. It definitely helps. All right. The
There we go.
background looks good, Alan.
Okay, I was working on it just now, so glad we made it happen. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Thank you guys for having me.
Matthew, you ready?
Absolutely. Whenever you're ready to go.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Vote Counts Town Hall Live. I am one of your moderators, Jaz B, and I have next to me is Matthew. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing great. How are you this evening?
I am doing good. So both of us will be moderating this town hall for tonight. So for those who are not familiar with our vote counts, we are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and empowering candidates for who has integrity, inclusion, accountability in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, and students and community advocates, our vote counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Our vote counts is more than just a name; it's a promise, a moment, a movement, and a rally cry for democracy. So together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So tonight we are joined by Alan Henderson, who is running for Tampa's mayoral seat in Florida. We'll be talking about his background, his vision for the district, and of course, taking your questions live. So, Alan, if you are new to our platform, after each set of type of questions we give you, we allow one person to come up on the panel and ask you a question. If we don't have anyone in the queue to come up and ask a question to you, we will pick out a question from the chat to give you. Okay?
Okay, sounds really cool.
All right. So we've learned, we did a little background and a little digging about you. So we've learned that you are an experienced technology entrepreneur, you are a community advocate, and a policy innovator. Also, we've learned that you are one of the youngest candidates in this race. But for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about why and the experience that made you say, okay, it's time for me to run for the mayor of Tampa and represent my city and the residents of Tampa.
For sure. And thank you guys for having me. This is my first TikTok live ever, so this is not a bad way to start. Um, yeah, I was born in Tampa. I built a lot of business and sharp communities in that city, and so I was already kind of doing the networking part of it, um, and kind of having an opportunity to see the city grow and change in so many ways where it's leaving people behind, people I care about. Um, I decided there's no better time than the present to step up and speak up about ways we could do things better, ways we could do things differently. Um, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I love public policy, I love government, I love U.S. history, and I started studying those things personally to see if I could incorporate into my work, and just asking around, asking my friends, my family, if this is something they could see me doing, and the response was overwhelming. That if I'm passionate about it, if I care about it, not only should I do it, but that they would support me, and so just what started out as stepping on faith and caring about my community, caring about the people that I'm with and I'm around, ended up turning into something with a little bit of traction and movement, and hopefully something I can carry all the way into the city hall. Um, I did a little bit of college at Golden Gate University, um, but a lot of my knowledge comes from just practical hands-on building businesses in Tampa. Um, I come from the esports gaming world. I own an esports team called Dilemma Esports, and just that process has taught me so much about business and leadership and what it's like to be, on the camera and behind the scenes. Um, and so I'm hoping to take all of that and turn it into real progress for Tampa, real progress for our city.
Oh, thank you for that introduction. So I'm going to ask you a fun little icebreaker before we get down to the tough questions. So, since we learned that you are a tech, you are a tech founder, of course, and you have a very technological background, and I can relate to that because I do too. But
Okay.
specifically, what is your favorite app that you use but that you didn't build? Can
Ooh,
you touch on that, and can you tell me what is something that you didn't build but you love?
yeah, that's a good question. Probably YouTube, to be honest. Uh, just because it's like when you think about it, it goes back for decades now, and anybody can upload to it. So you'll find any kind of video that you're looking for on it. Um, but you could build a career off of it, or if you're like me, you can find all types of stuff to get into and to watch. And I just kind of like that. It's authentic versus like Netflix, where everything is production and this is just somebody who wants to make a video and wants to hopefully entertain you.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you for that. So we're going to go ahead and roll it into Matthew to talk about the first topic. So, Finny, I'm sorry,
Uh,
Matthew. That's his nickname.
Either one works, it's okay. Actually, I wanted to do a little icebreaker too because you said that you work in the esports world. What are the games that your team is a part of?
Oh, my team, I love those guys. So they had three world records, all three in Call of Duty, but they were pretty big in the siege scene. That's what got us kind of stable. Fortnite, of course, for a while. Um, Rocket League was pretty popular for us. Now that said, I am a terrible gamer and probably I don't hold the candle to those guys. They're legit pros. Um, but yeah, those are the ones that have been mostly sustaining us.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, listen, if you ever want a content creator, let me know. But let's jump into the fun stuff because we want to make sure that we get the ball rolling for you here. First thing that we want to talk about, obviously, is the vision for Tampa. And being someone who lives in Florida, I live actually in Orlando, so I know the fun stuff of Tampa, so go Bucks. But it's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. In fact, the GDP is actually one of the highest, in fact, the highest in Florida. About $243 billion. It basically represents a good chunk of what Florida is gaining. Um, but the thing with that too is that it's adding thousands of new residents every single year. So, how does your long term vision ensure growth doesn't outpace the quality of life?
That's a great question, and I think the idea is just to remember who you're growing for. I never want to come off as the anti-growth candidate. Growth in Tampa is incredible, but when you're not planning around that growth, you are going to end up pricing people out. You're going to have to deal with the infrastructure breakdowns, the extra people on the roads, the traffic, um, and just the change of culture, the change of community. And so, what I try to do is think about policies in a way that still encourages investment in our city, but then also when you get that investment, make sure that you're distributing out those gains equitably. And so it starts with being able to measure how we're spending and being uh, upfront with the community and being transparent about expenditures. But then if you can thoughtfully measure where the deficits are uh, and how you're spending, you'll be able to make up those gaps and help fund the parts of the cities that don't benefit from all the growth. Um, and so that's what our policy platform tries to do explicitly.
I love that. I love that. Now, what's really interesting too, with the neighborhoods, there's, many neighborhoods that do feel the benefits of the growth. But a lot of them do feel that kind of growth being uneven. So how would you create citywide vision that lifts every community, not just the booming corridors?
Absolutely. Again, starts by measuring it. I tell the team you can't fix what you can't see, and you can't see anything that you can't measure. So being able to talk with the finance department and look at where are we actually spending dollars, and to make sure that the things that the businesses that are coming in and the companies that are moving in, the things that they're looking for, the resources they're looking for, are available in all parts of Tampa. I said in my announcement speech, Tampa doesn't end on Ashley Drive. That's our sort of business core in downtown. And when all you're focused on is driving revenue downtown, you stop running a government and you start running a private equity firm, and it's a very different set of results that you're looking for. Um, and so I've just tried to be a little bit more holistic about our strategy, to make sure, yeah, downtown can grow. All the parts of the city that we want to grow can grow. But those dollars need to be circulated back into our residents and improving the quality of life here.
Absolutely. And then one final thing, for me anyways, Tampa's identity is shifting as the development accelerates. Obviously, when you have a large population coming in, it kind of changes up what the culture is going to be. So how do you protect the character of historic neighborhoods while pushing for innovation?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to making sure that people can afford to stay here. Culture is directly tied to the community. And when you're pricing those people out, of course, you're going to lose parts of what I think make our city so great, that authentic, real kind of Tampa vibe, if you will. And so just making sure you have, anti-displacement policies in place and you're communicating to residents about, the current conditions, and that you're trying to keep them in, making an effort, I think is step one in protecting what we love about Tampa.
All right. Well, thank you so much. To anybody that is in the chat right now, keep tapping the screen. Really appreciate the love. If you are if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to let us know in the comments or even request up. But one thing that I did want to ask, as being someone who is living in the state of Florida, with the vision of Tampa, one of the things that I'm really fond of is the ease of transportation. I mean, you know this as well as I do. Coming from Orlando down to the Keys, it's like 8 hours. It takes a whole day out, you know. And with the company Brightline, they're doing a lot of different private transportations, especially with the railways. Would you want to expand the railway systems to go throughout the entirety of not just the state, but throughout the country in general? And if so, would you want Tampa to kind of be the center of all of that?
Yeah, I have no problem with Brightline. They can come in. We've had these proposals tossed around for decades now. Even as a kid, I remember hearing about Brightline coming in someday. And that's kind of the theme of Tampa. It's always better in promise than it is in presence in a lot of ways. And proposals like that are cool, but I just want something that's functional. I think when the community thinks about public transportation now, yes, they're thinking about Brightline and ways to get from Orlando and Miami and stuff, and that's not a bad proposal. But they're also thinking about buses. They're also thinking about Ubers and ride shares into the city. Um, they think about walking and biking, and you want the sidewalks to be shaded. You want it to be protected. Um, and so I'm a big fan of Brightline, but we've also been exploring ways to increase modality beyond just kind of sitting on our hands waiting for them to figure it out, because it is an expensive project. It'll be to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars, and who's going to foot the bill is always the top question. But from a structure side, from a permitting side, absolutely, I could see Brightline coming to Tampa, and it'd be really incredible to see that kind of growth.
Okay, wonderful. Jazz, if you'd like to take the floor for the next topic, I'm gonna do a little bit more research for some fun.
I'm gonna try to loosen up a little bit. This is, like I said,
Yeah.
first live stream, so.
You're fine, and you're doing pretty well. I mean, just it's commendable for you to even be brave enough to want to run at your age. So, I mean, I wished at your age that I did. So, I appreciate your bravery. But
Thank
we're
you.
going to talk more about the climate portion that affects your city and the resilience of your city. So, Tampa is ranked one of the most vulnerable U.S. cities for storm surge and sea level rising. What is your top resilience priority on day one when you're elected?
I like that. It's starting to make the investments that we need to actually be serious about climate. The city, we spend so much money, don't even get me started, on, I think, signaling intent to care about these things. But like you said, maybe you can get these, once in a lifetime storms. One time they catch you off guard. Two times, you can have an excuse. But at a certain point, it starts to get pretty predictable. And if you're not leveraging those insights and trying to get ahead of it, I think you're doing a disservice to the community. And so my plan is to leverage technology, as you can imagine, and use things like smart flood sensors, use things like predictive modeling to figure out exactly where we're seeing the worst storm floods. And I have an idea. If you talk to enough residents, they'll tell you where you see the worst. But to actually be proactive, and then once you have a good idea of what you can expect, you can start to make the investments and the partnerships to do the simple stuff: flood barriers, grading the ditches so the rain doesn't fill it all up, preparing for storm surges by filling out the water drains, cleaning them out, just the basics. And I think that having that extra layer of insights, and I want to dedicate a whole office to these type of insights. Having that extra layer of predictability can help us get ahead and be proactive about mitigating storms.
So to your point about just being more proactive, and you said that you will mitigate a particular like it'll be like a particular committee per se, or like a okay. So that sounds I like that idea. But just as a follow up to that, do you believe that it's more of a net cost benefit to be more proactive versus trying to respond in 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 lieu of something like that happening, like I guess you can say you are there's always warning to storms, but you don't know the effects of them until they actually happen, the after effects. So just to kind of wrap up my question, do you think it's a more of a net benefit to be more proactive as opposed to putting the cost of something after an outcome like that happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I read that the last storm did almost south of like $1 billion in damage, and I think the saying goes like for every dollar you invest in prevention is like $10 saved in destruction. So I definitely think there's a cost benefit for us as a city, but then also for the residents. Certainly, I mean your stuff not getting destroyed. If residents have a clear plan for when the storm comes, we had this kind of iconic meme moment that went viral where God bless her, she went on the news and she started saying like, you're gonna die, you got to get out. And I just thought about like if I were in that seat, like surely I wouldn't be spending time, telling the community you're gonna die. But you should be trying to take steps to keep people safe. And I think it just looks like getting them informed, doing what we can. You can't stop, every bad thing from happening, obviously, but just taking the steps today while you have the funds, keeping a rainy day fund, uh, making sure people know the evacuation routes, and then, like I said, leveraging predictive modeling and stuff to get ahead of the next disaster where possible.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we'll open it up for anyone who would like to come up and ask Alan a question regarding the last two topics we discussed regarding the vision of Tampa and or climate, or anything or environmental that affects the city of Tampa. So feel free to come up. But I do appreciate everybody being engaged in the chat. It does help with our algorithm. And also, if you look up here in the top left-hand corner of the screen, you see that we only have under 19K likes. Please, let's see if we can get at least 30K in the next 10 minutes so we can continue to stay on that algorithm and the FYP. So with that being said, as I said before, Alan, people are really loving the conversation and your responses thus far. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the next topic. So I'll hand it over to Matthew to talk about.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know this as much as I do. One of the worst things about Florida is its traffic and transportation. It is horrendous. I mean, you and I drive on I-4 all the time,
That's
275
not
or
good.
even the 95. It is bad. Um, Especially with Tampa, it is consistently ranked amongst the Florida's worst cities for traffic and congestion, especially ranked number one in the United States as of 2024. Um, with that, what's the fastest mobility improvement that you could deliver on your first year?
Oh, I like that. I like that. And I'm typically trying to think in stretches, 30 days, 60-day increments. So, first year, as a matter of fact, next week I have a call with some executives at Google because they have a project that I'm a fan of. Again, it's tech, but I think it's right up our alley called Project Greenlight. Tampa manages about a little under 600 traffic signals, but only the ones in the downtown core are communicating together. Part of how you can, their goal is to reduce not just congestion, but carbon emissions, keeping more cars off the road by using simple technology, basic cameras, and their AI algorithms to get them working together with one another so you can sync the traffic patterns and try to get more cars moving through green lights. Um, so partially that because we're gonna have still people driving, but then the other part of it is to make it more compelling for people not to drive. I think if the buses were more predictable, if you had shaded pathways for sidewalks, or you had bike locks for switching between back and forth, people would consider not driving on the road. So I think you have to do both at the same time. But that's probably something, if we have those conversations now, which is what I'm trying to do, within the first year, you could make a significant upgrades to the city.
Absolutely. Well, and with that too, it would a lot of neighborhoods they would basically feel left out. A lot of neighborhoods historically have been left out of the planning for transit, especially to make it easier for cars to come through in and out. So how would your rail pilot, as an example, connect communities that currently lack those reliable options?
Yeah, I love this. And this is something that we saw, other cities have taken advantage of. I think most recently I saw a report from Atlanta that they did a partnership like this that's working pretty well. But basically, what I want to do while we're waiting on the bright lines, if they come through, is to partner with the existing rail operators that we have in Tampa today. We have a few, like CSX is a pretty popular one here. To set up a public-private partnership that uses their rail network, but we get our own car, our own City of Tampa rail line that can just go inner city and just travel and take a kind of convenience loaded people from A to B at a predictable route. Um, and we're hoping that just that extra layer of predictability, even if it started, since it's the pilot, because I'm kind of a believer in starting small and then proving that it actually works and then scaling it. But even in just within the pilot window, if you can get people from North Tampa to South Tampa, between 7 o'clock in the morning and 10 p.m., and have that be consistent and routine, I think that would be huge. People would definitely appreciate that, and I think they would take it. We have a beautiful train station. Um, I hear a lot of great things about just that network in general. So I think we should just put it to work, and it would be a big deal.
I love it. I love it. Um, it's great. It's great with positivity of all that, and especially with a lot of things that have kind of sparked debate and controversy, especially in places like Tampa. One of the things that I'm mentioning is the Complete Streets initiative. So, how would you redesign these streets to improve safety without alienating the drivers or even the businesses?
Absolutely. So our Complete Streets initiative is basically this idea that there are better road designs and better road structures for moving people through the city that don't always look the best on brochures. I tell people Tampa's kind of designed for pictures and it looks great in a lot of parts of the city. Um, but if you're just not moving that many cars through, that particular pattern just isn't the best. And so it starts on the small end with things like traffic calming and upgrading maybe the way cars are moving. You might change some signage and stuff, but then you can scale it all the way up to literally redesigning some of the roads. And I would work with the mobility department. I'd work with the city planners to figure out which are the most feasible. because it does cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of money just to pave a road, nonetheless, rebuild one. But if you can even upgrade 2, 3, 5 significant intersections, you're talking about a crazy net change in terms of how many cars are moving through. I don't know if I did that, but yeah, if you can just change just even a few of them, you can get a lot more cars going through. Things like roundabouts. There's a really great one in Michigan. They call it, literally, it's branded the Michigan Left because of how
Yep.
many cars they're able just to get through traffic. And it's like, I don't know why Florida, and certainly not Tampa, has to settle for anything less than kind of these gold standards for transportation. I think we need it the most.
Absolutely, absolutely. And someone being as someone who actually grew up in Michigan, that Michigan left was definitely handy. It helped with a lot of push and pull traffic. But then, in those moments where you're trying to make that left, you can just go into the traffic that's right next door. It makes it really easy just to make it, kind of smoother. So, I love it. Well, right now we are at the 32 mark of likes, so appreciate everybody. Just keep tapping the screen when you can. Let's see if we can try and hit 35 or 40 at the end of Jazz's next segment. If you do have questions, though, for Mr. Allen, who is running for mayor of Tampa, please put them in the comments below, or even just jump into the queue. We'll bring you up so you can ask your questions. But Jazz, if you'd like to go to the next topic, let's keep moving the train along.
Yes. So we're going to talk more about the flooding portion. We highlighted it a little earlier, but we also going to talk about the infrastructure portion of the city of Tampa. So specifically regarding the infrastructure, um, Tampa's road network is strained by rapid population growth and car dependent design. Could you tell me what's one road or corridor you believe needs immediate redesign?
Oh, that's a great question because I mean the truth is there's so many of them. I mean I was driving downtown today, and we are kind of frustrated by the idea that even downtown, which is supposed to be the epicenter of all this investment, is supposed to be your downtown core that you show off the most. Even downtown looks kind of blighted, and it just looks like it's not being taken care of. And so you know reducing it down to one particular road is a little bit tricky. But I would probably work out at the outer perimeters because downtown already receives so much investment. So I'd probably look into inverting that and working our way from the outside in, and trying to build new investment centers, new investment districts, creative districts in our city. And it probably starts with getting the roads to look like they're actually being taken care of. So I don't know if that's. I know you asked for a particular one, but hopefully that is a little more specific.
Oh
And
yeah, that's more specific. That's fine. Yeah,
and
go
I would
ahead.
add that a lot of this type of the reason why it's a little difficult is because it really does come down to feasibility with the mobility department, with the city planners, in terms of like what construction's going on in 2027, what other things are taking place. It's a little hard to predict, but that's the scheme I would follow. I'd ask them to work out and go towards the center.
And I know that we always tackle the infrastructure part of just the actual physical infrastructure, which it is important. But I think what doesn't get talked about most is the digital infrastructure and innovation of things. Do you agree? More particularly about just the reliability of high-speed internet. Can you tell me your thoughts about how would you expand digital infrastructure so that every resident can have fast connectivity to the internet?
Absolutely, it'd be huge, and I think that's part of maybe one of the benefits of having younger leaders, young people like us talking about these issues, is because we know how important it is. And so again, I still exist in the start small and expand, but one of the pilots I'm interested in is during these storms, you can have citywide Wi-Fi, through satellite infrastructure, available to residents, so they never go offline. Um, or having things like public cameras, not the ones that they use for traffic tickets and trying to catch people, but like public cameras so you can check and see, what's going on outside. If it's raining, if it's flooding, you have kind of live visibility, and obviously it can help with safety and other things. And then we have this idea that we call the City Sync Initiative, and we basically frame it as City Hall in your pocket. When you move into Tampa, you get this pretty thick book. Welcome to Tampa. Here's a lot of the businesses. Here's the phone numbers you can call. And residents like that. I hear good feedback about it. I think there should probably also be an app or at least a web page where you can type in your address and you can find, what's the nearest bus stop to you, when the bus is actually going to show up. If you want to, have your trash come back and have it picked up, let's say you missed it, for a small fee, $5, $10 or whatever they say is the best model for it. Have the trash collector come back on the next day. Um, Things like that. Just making the resident quality of life, the resident experience, second to none. I usually frame all these things as Tampa is a great place to be. I want Tampa to be an amazing place to live. And setting that new standard is going to involve a lot of technology. But I think that's just the way the country is going. And if they're not going to do these things today, they're going to do it eventually. And I feel like we should be the ones ready to usher all that in.
I like that slogan. You said Tampa is a great place to be, but it should also be a great place to live. Did I get that quote correct?
Absolutely.
Do you also have that as one of your messaging slogans? Just curious.
It's something I tell in speeches.
Okay.
I'd say internally. The messaging slogan is we want to build. Our last mayor ran on this idea of building the Tampa of tomorrow, and it seems like it's always led up to ideas and projects that we'll get tomorrow. Will eventually make the city great. I want to focus on the Tampa we have today, and so our slogan became the Tampa of tomorrow today.
I like that. Okay. All right. Does anyone in the chat have any questions? Feel free to request up if you want to ask a question that we haven't touched on thus far from the topics that we covered. Feel free to request up. We don't bite. We are very welcoming here as long as you're respectful. But with that being said, it looks like we don't have one-on-one in the queue to ask you a question, but the chat is thoroughly in. Oh, we do have someone. I'm sorry. Hi, Buttermilk. Do you have a question for Alan?
Hi, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I noticed that you're a young man. Um, I happened to do a little research and noticed that um, one of the, based on how it's broken up by age group, one of your biggest groups, 55 to 64.
Okay.
That's the highest numbers. How can you convince these older folks that your youth is beneficial to Tampa as their mayor?
I appreciate that question a lot. Um, what I would say is we are at a junction now in our country where I think the best way forward is to know a lot about where we've been, but also a lot about where we're going. And part of, I think, how we do that is you have someone who can speak to both. I have a lot of respect for, the older people in my life, the people who have wisdom and insights, and I would leverage it. Even the people on our team, it's expertise all across different age ranges, from like motivated college students who want to get involved and who have the energy and the passion and who care about the city, to like I said, people who are tenured experts who have done this type of work for decades. And I just think that somewhere at that intersection, you're gonna find a lot of opportunities to work together and to improve the community. So I would hope that my passion comes through, my passion for the city comes through, and they can see that my team isn't just filled with young spunky college kids, but it's a lot of people who believe in where we're trying to take Tampa.
Thank you for that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for that
Have a
question.
good one.
You as well.
Thank you, Buttermilk.
It's a great question.
Okay. So I'm going to go and turn it back over to Matthew to do a fun portion of our town hall. So I'll take it over to Matthew.
Absolutely. We're going to do a fun little rapid fire questionnaire for you here. So this is just simple yes or no's, nothing too crazy. So we'll just go through them one at a time. It should be roughly about maybe like 10 or so. So let's start it off. So should Tampa expand tenant protections to help renters?
Absolutely.
Okay. Should zoning be reformed to allow more affordable housing options?
To say the least, yes.
Okay. Should developers be required to contribute more to community benefits?
Yes, and I know you said rapid fire, but yes, and my particular plan is I would probably charge out-of-state developers pretty close to twice what they're paying already.
Okay.
The commercial
Uh,
ones.
yeah, wow, that's awesome. Should micro transit be expanded citywide?
Absolutely. These like bus shuttles, quick back and forth. Yeah,
Yeah. Is a rail pilot essential for Tampa's long-term mobility?
I think so. If we continue to grow at this trajectory, yes, I think so.
Okay. Should Tampa increase investment in flood mitigation immediately?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Should Tampa adopt a citywide resilience plan for stronger storms?
Yes, and it should be one that doesn't leave out any neighborhood. It should be more comprehensive than the one we have today.
Okay. Should Tampa's PD expand non-police crisis response teams?
It's a good question. Yes, they should, and they should expand more officers as well.
Okay. Should city data be fully transparent to the residents?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Do you believe that every county in Georgia is currently receiving fair workforce support?
Every county in Georgia, fair
Yeah.
workforce support. I don't know about Georgia's conditions. I would hope so. I certainly would hope so.
Yeah, it's a a great answer. And then last but finally, what's one system you would modernize first at the Department of Labor?
One system I would modernize first. That's a good question. Within all the departments in our city, the first thing we're gonna do is make sure they're working together. And it's gonna sound really nerdy and techy, but we have this idea for an AI opportunity finder, and all that means is if you have transcripts of every single meeting that's happening across all your departments, there are algorithms that can find where you guys are in sync and where there's going to be bottlenecks, and you can have that high level view to get them working together.
Okay, lovely to hear. Thank you for answering those questions really quickly. Right now, we're going to go straight over to Jazz for the next set of questions for you.
Cool.
Talk about public policy and policing. So, Tampa residents want safety without over policing. How would you use that data to improve public safety while protecting civil rights?
Yeah, that is a huge deal for me. As someone who's had former mayors that have had problems with building trust with the community, and he had this crisis, biking while black, where a significant portion of the traffic stops Tampa PD was making um, under Bob Buckhorn were just like little black kids riding their bikes, and it became a whole news story. Um, and so I try to keep stories like that in mind with the idea of wanting to keep the city safe. And so I think it starts with a culture shift from the top down. And so the next mayor almost certainly will be appointing a new police chief. I will make sure that the person I appoint, one, is accountable to the community. I want it to be a public interview process, a public selection process, where people can give their feedback. And two, one of the non-negotiables is that he understands, or they understand rather, what it means to actually build trust with Tampa. And I think that looks like not just showing up when things are going wrong, but also showing up to ask how we can do better. Making sure that they are working with the business owners, working with the faith leaders, and all the different community groups, so that it's not just we're telling you what to do and you're just going to do it, but you are invited into the process of keeping our city safe. So hopefully that addressed it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thank you for that, because I think when it comes to over policing and safety, it doesn't really get talked enough when it comes to the way like funding gets allocated. A lot of times people think you have to dump a lot of money in order to mitigate the problem when it comes to fighting crime or having crime prevention, but also just kind of peel back the layers of what is the root of crime, and then allocating that funding in order to help with the citizens if they specifically deal with mental health, or if there's lack of resources such as children not being able to go to school, because it could be rooted from like truancy issues. So thank you for expanding on that.
For
So
sure.
Yes, no problem. So also, when it comes to the citywide expansion of non-police crisis response systems, I've read briefly about some of the things that they're trying to roll into with the Tampa, Florida area when it comes to non-police crisis response teams. Could you tell me what role should those teams play in Tampa to help with the public safety there in Tampa?
Absolutely. I think that they should have ultimately two goals. One is to supplement work that police officers aren't really designed to do. Their job is to fight crime, and some roots of crime. I like that you talked about addressing the roots. Some of this stuff requires, you know, surgical and meticulous approach, like rooting out trauma, therapy, these kind of things that they're just not equipped to do. So one, I think they should supplement those opportunities. And then the other part of it is helping keep the community informed and a part of the crime fighting process. One of the pilots I would love to roll out is this idea, simple idea of just giving residents in high crime areas doorbell cameras, be it Ring or whatever company we end up going with. But we'll cover the subscription. We'll pay for everything that's necessary, and then all we ask in response is that if they see something, they say something, and they report it. And these can look like my mom was a social worker, and so I know the type of care and personal sort of outreach that they do and the relationships they build to curb these kind of things. But I think that that's the right talent you need if you're going to focus on crime at the root.
Thank you for that. Okay, so that wraps. One second. So that wraps up my portion talking about the public safety and policing. So we do have someone up in the panel who would like to ask you a question. Sianka, do you have a question for Alan?
Yes, I do. Hey, everybody. Hey, Mr. Allen. How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, and congratulations on doing this. And I have like a two-part question. So my first question is, because I'm looking at you right now, and you could be my son. I may not sound like it, but you could be my son.
Okay.
But how can people like in my age, I'm 45, can put more faith in you guys, because you guys are the future? So what can get them out of that stigma of saying, oh, well, you're too young? Well, you're not, because times have changed and people in your generation are being affected, and it's going to get worse for you guys.
Yeah.
So what can we do as a community? And this is as a whole, not just in Tampa, but as a whole, from a generation like you. What do you need for us to do to keep you guys in the forefront, not letting y'all stagnate behind and you got to catch up? You know what I mean? So what can we do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing you can do is keep an open mind. Sometimes we young folks especially, and sometimes it's earned. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes we not all of us.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. But keep an open mind about the candidates that you want to support, and just kind of being receptive to just listening to what they're running on, listening to what they're saying, and seeing if it's something that resonates with you. And then I think the other part that's huge and maybe doesn't get talked about a lot is being willing to lend support and lend your insights and lend your experience to young people, because we're not going to know it all, definitely. But we are going to know a lot. We've been exposed to a lot at a pretty young age. I think our is especially online. We especially know a lot about a little bit about a lot of things. And so helping us fill in those gaps and being good role models, I think would be very instrumental.
Absolutely. And my other part is for the policing. Do you think there should be like a separate call center for people who have mental health issues, rather than just flooding up the 911 call? Should it be like a funnel to be a conduit where it's not overwhelming the 911 system and the police system? So.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great idea. Unfortunately, they've been starting to build the sort of outer edges of that a little bit in Tampa. Like we have this place called Grace Point. I'm not sure if it's national, but it definitely is a popular hub here. which is just a little bit, particularly for young people, of intermediary between jail and leaving them to do whatever they want to do. And so you could probably build that out and expand it as well to how you actually intake these people. And I could definitely see a new funnel being helpful in a process like that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna charge you for that. If you was to, no, I'm just joking.
Okay,
No, go ahead and run with it. Go ahead and run with it. Go ahead and do your thing. So, congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Finney and Jazz. Y'all take care. Mr. Allen, do your thing, buddy. Do your thing.
Thank you, Ms. Bianca. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. We're going to go ahead and roll it into Finny to talk about jobs, small business, and technology.
Absolutely. So let's start with the tech portion of it, especially the sector of Tampa's tech center. It's booming. It's helping bring in a lot of good jobs and a lot of good business. But many residents feel excluded from a lot of the opportunities that's happening with that boom. So how would you bridge that gap?
Absolutely, and I don't blame them for feeling excluded, partially because I think they are. I feel like this particular model of growth, especially when you look at the kind of campaign that some of the other candidates are running, is centered around kind of a who you know type of growth. They bankroll your campaign, and so obviously that's going to come with some benefits. The way I would prefer to see Tampa grow is a little bit different, and if you don't mind me explaining it. Basically, what I want to do is, again, still allow us to grow, still invite these new innovative companies in, but when those dollars come in, how we switch procurement a little bit differently is rather than paying the same legacy contractors, you could take a $2 million contract and give it to one company. You could take that same $2 million contract and break it up to 600 individuals in the community and train them with the skills they need in order to do the work that we're already going to be doing. And I think just that shift, when you start to look at, what communities need the most investment, you can start to build the jobs training programs, the workforce development programs in those particular neighborhoods. And so now what you're doing is you're pairing companies who need services with communities that need work. And you're building that pipeline for them directly and taking out a lot of the middleman and the overlap.
Okay.
And
Especially when it comes,
I'm sorry, because it's a little.
yeah.
This is the stuff that I kind of geek out over, and what that does is you start doing what they call capital velocity. You start injecting money into those communities, and typically the net result is they spend the money where they make it. And so now you have those communities also growing and benefiting as a result.
Okay. That's great. Listen, whatever question that you have on here that you're passionate about, please, I want you to go into it as much as possible. I think it's very important, not only for us to hear it, but also I want to see the excitement that you get from, talking about how you're going to build Tampa up to become better, because hopefully, we get someone like you to come in and join in for Orlando as well, so fingers crossed.
You guys have some good candidates running on Orlando. I try to watch that race a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But let's go back to Tampa real quick because small businesses, especially in Ybor City, West Tampa, and even Sulphur Springs, they face rising costs and uneven support in their businesses. So, what is your plan to help them thrive even with this technological boom that we have?
Absolutely. One, it looks like meeting them where they are. So we have this idea that actually Creative Loafing covered recently. That's like the local newspaper here, called the Mayor's Mobile Office Initiative. And the idea is just to take city services to these business owners directly, take it to residents directly. And so everything from permitting assistance, tax support, legal support, the city can probably just help take care of. And the idea is to position us less as an obstacle they have to try to navigate around and more as an asset. So if you decide you want to open up a business in Tampa, the city has your back and wants to help see it thrive. That's the first part. The second part, like I said, is to hire them, cut out the middleman, give these legacy contracts to Tampa-based businesses because I know we have the talent, I know we have the expertise here to do these projects, and all we need, I think, to really unlock Tampa's potential is to reflect it back towards the community. Is to have the next mayor not just be like a celebrity figurehead that's cutting ribbons, but as someone who is like holding the mirror up to our businesses and inviting them into the growth, like giving them the contracts, and if they don't have the skills they need, teach them and help develop them to get them to where they need to be.
Absolutely. I love all of that, especially because especially when it comes to like the building of businesses, things like the city services. You know, right now they're kind of slow and they're outdated. And so, what would like how would things like City Sync, for example, transform the residential experiences?
That's a good question. Some of the ideas we talked about earlier, like the idea to request your trash can to come back and repick it up. Um, the other part of it is allowing us to be more proactive about solving issues. The best type of government is one that you don't have to think about because they're already doing the things proactively. And so, we talked about like the traffic camera hardware that's monitoring for congestion. These things can also monitor for potholes, right? And you can equip every trash collection can, every police car, uh, every transportation van that we have. You can equip these with cameras as well, sensors, so they're also looking for potholes and also looking for broken street lights, and have all of these things working together. So you're solving problems before residents even have to confront them. Um, the other part that I think is innovative is a sort of different approach to feedback. Um, I think we should have like a 24/7 sort of support center. You can do this now with tech pretty easily. So that way you don't have to run from community feedback. But residents should always have a channel that they can submit any type of concern and see that it's getting routed to the right department, see a case number and a tracker associated with it. I can't tell you the amount of emails I've sent to the city that have gotten ignored or I'll have to come back in person or months later. And it almost makes you think that it's deliberate, that they're just ignoring people. So I think just to kind of rehaul onto our tech stack, rehaul as to how we process these things, would really improve the quality of life for everyday residents.
Absolutely. And honestly, it's great that you're talking about the innovation that you want to bring to that sector, especially when it comes to tech. Because a lot of cities in Florida are looking to expand with these new tech tools. So I know that you just mentioned one, but is there any other kind of technological advancement that you would want to bring to Tampa that would basically set it apart from other cities?
Yeah, there is, and maybe you guys can help me. The team and I were literally debating this 2 days ago, so maybe you guys can help me narrow down on a thoughtful choice. I have this idea for a new office that I would dedicate the first day when I get the job, and the current working title is the City of Tampa Civic Insights Office, right? Uh, the other one that they gave was the City of Tampa Public Data Office, and I'll tell you what they do. Um, Basically, the idea is to take all these new inputs, take all the new data we want to track, everything from predictive modeling for storms, like we talked about, to traffic congestion, to unlocking opportunities across all the departments. This new office should manage all of that, and they should manage public feedback, and they should just kind of be a high level sort of force multiplier to help us get things done. And I think just having people dedicated to AI insights, and by the way, other cities already have this in place. New York has an open data office that's pretty good. It's just Tampa, I don't know why we don't have it, but we should, because if you can measure deficits, if you can have all the insights you need from an executive perspective, you can again start solving problems before residents even know that they're occurring. So I think instituting that office is kind of a half tech, half human way to approach the new landscape of challenges, and it's particularly convenient now because that's the direction the country is moving. All the major investments, whoever becomes the next mayor, will still have 2 years under the current administration from 2027, and their push decide forget if a Democrat gets elected next or a Republican. Just the 2 years under this president still looks a lot like all the Davos meetings happened today. A lot of the conversations were about technological investment. I did an internship at McKinsey and Company, and the through line across the entire 10 weeks was technology is the future, and it's a big part of the present as well. And so it's just like too many opportunities glaring in our face for us to be smarter about how we approach this work. And I want us to embrace it. And I think that's also why it's particularly novel to have a kind of younger mayor involved, not necessarily just for the age, but because we know the landscape. I know the landscape, and I won't let the city get scammed because there's a lot of tech scams as well. I won't let us get caught up in those, and we can actually make smarter investments.
Absolutely. Perfect. I appreciate that answer. To anybody, like I said before, if you guys want to add any kind of questions or anything, or want to come jump in the panel, you're more than welcome to do so. Right now we are at 86K, almost 87. By the end of the live, we'd love to get to 100 or even more than that. But let's keep the ball rolling. I want to make sure that we get into the next topic. That is going to be to Jaz. We're going to be talking about some money.
Okay.
Yeah, so before we delve into that, we do have one of the candidates we've hosted a town hall in the past with, Louis Davila. I'm not sure you saw him in the chat. He is running for a state house seat in the Polk County area.
Okay.
So he just spoke to you. I'm not sure if you've already been acquainted to him.
Yeah.
So that was good.
No, I didn't see him
Okay.
in the chat though. Hello, Mr. Davila, and good luck with everything. Room for you.
Yes. All right. So regarding ethics, money, and transparency, we understand that major donors and developers have significant influence in politics, and people don't know they have a lot of influence on the city level as well, unfortunately. Could you tell me what reforms would you implement to limit that power?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's part of the suite of day one decisions that are going to be easy for me to make. Is opening up our books so you can see exactly what we're spending on. I'll tell you, because I watch all the city council meetings now, definitely even more than like Netflix. And even the council members don't have clear insights into expenditures. And we'll read the 300 page, annual reports, the annual financial reports, and I feel like it's all sort of rooted in sort of obfuscation and just trying to sell, a vision, trying to sell a pitch, and not really just a transparent look at like how we're spending money. And so I would flip it around. I think especially as a young mayor, a new mayor, you want as much public feedback and as much oversight as possible. You want a city council that actually counsels, right? And just not to be afraid of that type of people looking in, that type of high level oversight. And so the two things that I would immediately do is one, we would appoint what they call an ombudsman, person. And that's just someone whose only professional job, it is almost like the what Jerome Powell runs. It's almost like a separate department, a separate person whose only job is to hold us accountable. And I wouldn't be afraid of something like that. But there are probably other candidates that would reject a premise like that. And so, yeah, I think that'll be important. The other part of it, I think, would be useful. I don't know. I guess just making sure that we're holding ourselves accountable to that standard. I don't want to walk into any room, without an attorney with me, without, the CFO. I want clear views on how much cash on hand we have. As long as you're working ethically, there shouldn't be a reason to be afraid of that type of oversight.
I appreciate that. I think transparency is definitely important, and just making it accessible for people to just ask questions anytime they have any type of fuzziness when it comes to things they may not understand or need more clarity to. But with that being said, I think another thing regarding the local level that people may need to start focusing on too, and you can touch on this, is regarding contracts. Do you feel like contracts, the way they're awarded on the city level, should reflect the way, or even in a demographic form, it should reflect the residents of that city or income level? Can you expound upon that? What is your idea on how contracts should be reflected and awarded to people?
Yeah, that is a really, really great question. definitely in terms of demographic, you want to see equitability. The idea by law, the selection process is supposed to be blind, and it's supposed to go to whoever's the best, most fit candidate um, for the gig. But then you have to also have to think about, well, where are you sourcing these candidates from? And if you're pulling from a talent pool of one neighborhood, and it also just happens to be the most expensive neighborhood in the city, you're only going to see a particular type of people getting those contracts. And if you're not, and again, it makes you question: is it by design or is it an oversight? Um, for me, it would be much more holistic. We would measure who are getting. That's why I want this office. Who are getting these contracts, um, where they're going, and then do our due diligence to make sure it's as equitable as possible.
I think equity is key. I think equity in general, as the word, has been such a boogeyman over the past couple of years, and I don't understand why. Well, I do know why. I'm not going to say that. But I think that word equity to me holds more weight than equality in certain instances. So I appreciate your idea about how would you measure that in order to award contracts for the city of
Can I
Tampa.
add? By definition, you touched on why. By definition, equity means somebody is going to benefit less because everybody else is benefiting equally. And all you have to do is sort of look at what the incentive structure looks at today, who's actually benefiting the most today, and that'll probably show you why equity is always has a sort of negative taste to it. Because there are people who specifically don't want to see equity, and who are spending a lot of money to make sure that Tampa grows as least equitable as possible. So I
Okay.
just hope that you mentioned that.
So we have Louis Davila, who's running for Florida State House seat. He is here to ask you a question, Alan. Lewis, Allen.
Hi, Mr. Davila. Good to finally meet
Hey,
you.
Alan, how's it going? How's it going,
Not too
man?
bad. How about yourself?
Good, Jazz. Finny, nice to see you guys. Honestly, it was a very quick question. So me running for this seat in House District 48. So the way I look at it, at least my perception should be that state representatives should be working with the local level elected officials. We don't see that, in my opinion. How would you ensure? It's more of like, I guess, an advice. How would you work with the state reps that represent Tampa or your district?
Absolutely. And I agree completely with your take. The way I try to approach it is to not let my campaign and the things I say, I try to be as thoughtful as possible. Let it be about personalities and people, and really just let it be stick to the issues that are important here.
Yeah,
And I'm hoping what that does is I'll still be able to draw clear differences, clear policy stances, and people will know my character very well. But then
yeah,
it'll allow that whoever gets elected in the positions that we're gonna have to build a relationship with, it won't poison the well, and that our working relationship, whether it be Republican, Democrat, whoever's, especially coming from Florida, right?
right.
Whoever's in the office, we can start on good terms, discussing ways that we can benefit the community.
Yeah, because I feel like one of the state reps jobs is to make sure their district is getting taken care of, right? And certain appropriations are coming to the district, and obviously proposing legislation that'll benefit all 67 counties. I just feel like I don't see that. There's priority for other projects, and we're lacking in affordable housing and healthcare access and things of that nature. And that's at least my platform, what I plan to do when I win, not if I win. And I'd be more than happy to work with other candidates, even outside of my district, because I think it's important for us to stick together.
Yes, absolutely. Especially, you get in. I think us young folks have to stick together. Us Florida folks have to stick together. And I just know it'll only be working together, state level and local level, that we actually deliver on some of these big promises. And it's great that you have a plan already, because I think that sometimes I tell people running for office is like one of the handful of jobs where it takes so much work just to get the job. Then you're
Yeah,
actually in it. I see a lot of congressional leaders, state congressional leaders kind of just not really sure how to leverage the new power they've inherited. But I think if
Yeah.
you have a plan and it's built in coordination with the candidates you see running and the direction your district is trending, it'll be a lot easier to get in and start really making some change happen.
Definitely. Well, I'll be on the lookout for you. I'll follow your page, and thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you
Likewise.
for running.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you, Louis, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move forward to our second portion of our rapid fire questions. So these are more fun in nature. So these are more short answer, yes or no type of responses as well. Okay. All right. Do you still enjoy building things from scratch like a tech founder that you are?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All
This
right.
campaign.
What's more? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. This campaign is modeled after that. I want to run the city like a startup, unless like a slow bureaucracy, and so like proving value, making sure things work, scaling when it does, that kind of thing.
Excuse me. Okay, thank you for that. All right, so what's more satisfying, fixing a bug or fixing a city problem?
Fixing a bug or a city problem. Lately city problems have been pretty good.
I can show you debugging is easy to me. I agree.
Okay, like that.
Yes. What's your favorite Tampa neighborhood to unwind in?
Ooh, great question. Great question. It's hard to not enjoy a night in Ybor. I can't lie. Ybor City is pretty cool, laid back, young crowd. But also, there's some areas that overlap, like where USF is and UT, and I find a lot of cool people over there as well.
Okay, so let's choose between the two cities I'm going to present to you and see if you still like Ybor. Do you like Ybor Cuban or West Tampa Cuban?
Oh, that's tough. That's a good one. You probably gotta go with West Tampa Cubans. I can't lie. You probably gotta go with West Tampa Cubans.
All right. Are you more of a night owl innovator or early morning strategist?
Let me plug my phone in here. Night owl innovator or early morning strategist is a good question. A mix of both. I usually find that when I'm like locked in, like starting the day off with a good sunrise is always great. But then if you're having fun, the projects easily continue through the night and are waiting for you the next day. If I had to pick, I'd probably say late night strategist, probably.
Okay. Do you still tinker with new apps or tools just for fun?
All the time. All the time. I was telling some of my team members today that I found this really almost fitting and super nerdy AI chief of staff app that like takes your schedule and I'm sorry, I know these were supposed to be rapid fire, but it takes your schedule and like automatically gives you like optimization for the best way to approach it and who you have to talk to at what time. And it's like it sends me daily briefings on the news happening in Tampa. Like it's great. So, and I just found
that's
that
cool.
2 days ago.
I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay. All right. So what's your favorite Tampa childhood memory in one sentence?
That is a great question. Favorite childhood memory in one sentence. Okay. I think probably one that was really iconic for me was I had a chance to tour. His name is Tim. He's a entrepreneur in Tampa. He's built a studio, movie video studio, from scratch. He built the whole company, and now it's tens of millions of dollars. Very successful.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity, pretty young, when I told him I was running an esports team, to go tour his studio. And we're walking through, and he's had everybody there. 21 Pilots have shot videos there. You'll just walk in randomly, and there'll be celebrities. And the time I was there, we walk around the corner. He's giving us a tour, and two WWE superstars, Batista, and one other one. He comes around, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And they're just there to talk to you and greet you as if it was like normal Tuesday to see them. So that was one that stands out, and it made me kind of realize that, like, yeah, there are some incredible things happening in our city.
That's awesome. All right. If you weren't running for mayor, would you be launching another startup?
I probably stick with the one that I have. I'm not really a fan of the um, on camera work too much. It's a part of this gig, certainly. But I really fell in love with behind the scenes and building and networking and that sort of stuff. So I'd probably still do something adjacent to what I've been
Okay.
doing.
All right. What energizes you more, a community roundtable or a brainstorming session with engineers?
Ooh, community roundtable, easy work. Yeah,
Okay. And
I love a
lastly,
cool engineer, but you get to hear from people with different
other types of
perspectives.
people. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. And lastly, do you dance when no one's watching? Yes or no?
I dance when people are watching.
Okay.
If the song is right, yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So that wraps up the fun portion of our rapid fire questions. You did really, really well. So I appreciate your responses on that. So I'll roll it over to Finny to talk about collaboration and leadership.
Absolutely. Tampa's strong mayor system still depends on the council approval for nearly all major initiatives. So, how would you build a collaborative relationship with the council from day one?
That's a great question. It's part of also why I know I can do the job, is because you really can't do much without the council having some type of input. And it's also why I think that all the other candidates who are already a part of that system probably have a little bit to blame for how we got to currently where we are. But I would improve the working relationship by one, putting personal politics aside and just focusing on having a clear agenda and being explicit about what we're going to do so they can decide what way they want to be a part of it. And then two, keeping an open door policy. So they can come into our office whenever they want. They can go to any events that they want. And we'll have a routine sort of committee whose job it is to meet with the city council members, inform them on the agenda, what's taking place, and above all, invite their input and feedback into our approach.
Okay, I love it. I love the idea of just like keeping it together, no matter what. At the end of the day, politics aside, we're trying to make sure that our cities are better, our states better, our country is better. That's the best thing that we can do, right? So, especially when learning from the past administrations, they've dealt with councils having gridlocking on housing, transportation, and even development. So, what is your strategy to avoid these stalemates and keep that momentum on your priorities?
That's a good question. And it would be to shine a lot of light into the operations and invite the public's feedback as much as possible. I think that a lot of times when these things sort of slow down, it's because of politics. It's because someone in city council has, seen some sort of higher opportunity for themselves, and there's a political game that can be played if you don't approve a particular item, or you're the mayor has to veto something from council, and like it just turns into like a show, like a reality show.
Hmm.
But I know for a fact, if I get elected from this city, it'll come with a pretty clear mandate that they want to do things differently, and I would ride that energy for the whole first term. And as long as I'm explicit about what it is I'll be doing, and the public supports the plan, I would be very upfront about all the obstacles, including city council, that prevents us from getting there.
Absolutely. And especially because with, city council members, they represent districts that have very different needs. So, from New Tampa to East Tampa, to South Tampa, all of them have their own different requirements and desires when it comes to those locations. So, with that being said, how would you navigate those differences to build a citywide consensus?
That's a good question. I think it's just focusing your priorities on the things that are relatively agreeable. Um, I think all the districts can benefit from, safer streets, for example, um, or all of us can benefit from having, more police officers on board, better traffic, these sort of things, and not letting my personal views too much dictate how we operate, but just by trying to be a good steward of the community at large, and trying to represent everybody where you can. You want to always be able to find consensus, uh, but if you're upfront about the things that you want to work on, and the city supports it, I think that it's a good place to start.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I appreciate those questions being answered. That means a lot. To everybody here that is in the panel, we're about to hit 130 K likes, which I do really appreciate and appreciate the support. Thank you also for supporting Alan here as well. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to mention to Mr. Allen, please don't be afraid to put it in the comments below, or even come up and be a guest here. But to close it out just a little bit before we get any other questions, we want to appreciate you and thank you for joining us for this for this interview and this conversation about your platform. What though, as a final word, what is your message to the voters of Tampa as we head towards Election Day?
I appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me. This was really cool, and you guys made it a lot less nerve wracking than it was before we started. I guess my final message would be that this election is going to be a very important one. Obviously, we've seen what happens at a national level when we're not, watching, keeping an eye on the ball, and it's happening at a local level. Developers now are bankrolling our politicians. They're buying up the city district by district, and we have a choice. We can either continue the next 8 years doing things as we've been doing them, electing the same politicians and hoping for different outcomes, or we as a community can decide that the status quo and the way things are does not necessarily mean how they ought to be. And we can elect someone that is a real representative of the people who live here, who really cares about how our city grows and who we grow for. And we can put someone in office whose only hope and whose only goal is to truly be a good steward of what I inherit. And so, if that vision resonates, I hope that you guys would consider visiting hendersonfortampa.org. We need your support. These guys are going to be running to the tunes of millions of dollars this election. And so I think we can win with significantly less. Money hasn't been winning politics here, not even across the country, but not even here locally. And if that vision resonates, I hope you would consider donating, volunteering, or simply spreading our message.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alan. Like you said before, alanhenderson.org. Please follow him. If you have not followed him already, go support his socials as well as OVC's. But really quickly, we actually would like to invite you, Alan, to the and the audience here to join us for our next town hall. Our next town hall will be with Melissa McDonough, who will be running for Texas 38th Congressional District Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as our roundtable discussion. That's going to be happening on Sunday, February 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'd love to see you there if possible. I know that I'll be coming by to say hello, as well as Jaz and other awesome members of OVC. So I want to thank you for joining us, Mr. Allen. Thank you, Jaz. Thank you to Matt. You're very welcome. And just really quickly, with OVC, Our Vote Counts. It's a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through dedication, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So join us, because your vote is your power. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. And thank you again, Mr. Allen.
Thank you guys very much. This is a great forum. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you for having us. Have a good night.
You as well, guys.
Have a good night.